Men between the ages of 18 to 24 in the cycle of violence, poverty, and breaking the law sometimes don't necessarily see or even want help. Roca is changing that. Springfield's Assistant Director Keith Rhone stopped by with the Executive Director from Boston, Tom McKenna, to explain their intervention model.
Roca specifically works with partners like probation, the police, the courts to go out and target these young people that haven't quite realized it's time to make that change.
Okay, and that's where your intervention model then comes in. Talk about that. What does that mean? What does that entail?
So the intervention model is a cognitive restructuring model. Like I said, we're trying to get these young people to think different, to act different. What it entails is they're enrolled in the program and they're assigned to a youth worker, and that youth worker has a caseload of 25 young people, and their entire job is to establish what we call a transformational relationship with each one of those young people. They're there when that young person needs a friendly face in court. They're there to help that person get up in the morning and get into Roca and attend programming. They're there to deal with that young person through all the crises that they're facing as a high-risk teen that's deeply involved in the systems of the state. Once they establish that relationship, we're able to pull that young person into the intervention model, which includes the first key component, which is transitional employment. These young men have never worked before. They're used to living a different kind of lifestyle. We get them involved in our program. They're essentially employed by us. They're put on a work crew with a supervisor. 4 days a week, they're out doing everything you and I would do and keeping a job. They show up at a certain time. They have tasks to do. They're paid at the end of the week. And it takes a long time for these young people to sort of figure out the ways that you have to act with other people in a work site and the behavior changes that you have to undergo to be able to sustain that employment. So employment's a huge piece of it. The second piece of it is education. These young men, for the most part, have all been disconnected from school for a very long time. Very few have a high school diploma or a GED. So the second part is education, capturing where they are as far as their literacy, numeracy skills, and working on getting them as close as possible to a GED or attaining their GED with us to give them another credential to move them forward on the path out of violence and poverty.
Now, before we get to that third phase, I do want to show some numbers. Of the 115 men in the third phase, which you're going to explain next, 89% had no new arrests, 95% had no new technical violations, and 69% retained employment. So talk about that successful third phase that brought these numbers about.
Sure, that's correct. The point that I made before about that these young men are looking at about a 65% chance of recidivating or going back to jail without our intervention really speaks volumes to those numbers and the success we're able to have. The third phase is once we've gotten you deeply involved in our employment program, deeply involved in programming and education, forming this strong relationship with your youth worker, we get you to the point after 2 years where we're able to finally recommend you and help you get an outside, unsubsidized job on your own, sustaining yourself, keeping yourself safe, and learning how to be a functional, tax-paying member of society. And in that phase, we offer additional supports in which we're trying to keep you sustaining those positive changes that you've made, but also helping you now to map out the next phase of your life. What do you want to do? Do you want to go back and try and get into community college or trade school? Do you want to get ready to move on to the next job in your career path? It's really seeing them through all the way to the end of phase 3, to where we're essentially getting them to a point of safety, security, and personal self-sustaining, where they can take care of themselves and are no longer a threat to themselves or anybody else.
Gotcha. Now, speaking of all that, Keith, you specifically work with men here in Springfield to bring them through all these different phases. Why does this area suffer so badly? What is the biggest cause for concern out this way?
Mainly, like Tom said, I think it's more, geared around education. When people don't complete high school, things like that, there's, a very large drug problem in the city. But when young men don't educate themselves, they don't have perhaps maybe a high sense of self-worth, self-esteem, things like that. And Roca's there to help pull them in if they've made mistakes, had bumps along the way in their lives. We're here to pull them in through what we call relentless outreach and, getting out there, getting in the streets, going to their houses, going to their girlfriends' houses, pulling them in, letting them see the value of getting up, coming to work every day and, making a paycheck and, having something to feel proud of at the end of the week, that feeling of accomplishment, and we're there to encourage that all the way through.
What has been some of the reaction that you've seen from young men here in the Western Mass area that have been helped by Roca?
Oh, I mean, it's a great delight to us when we see young men getting up on their own. We're still a bit young. We've been in existence outside of Boston and Chelsea for 25 years. We've been here for about 3. So we're just now having a group of guys into the 3rd phase of the program here in Springfield. And of those guys that are out there gainfully employed and all of that, they come back into our building and, let us know how things are going, and they're happy and they're doing these things and moving forward with their lives. They're not getting into trouble anymore. So things are working.
Great. Well, thank you so much for this information, Tom and Keith. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.